Good evening, class. I'm here to talk about the Frankenstein abstract letterform assignment. I realized there should have been an example. Usually I'm doing this in the RDV setting, and I'm also new to Valencia, so I guess I wasn't sure about your background in Illustrator, knowing what the shape builder tool is, and able to follow the Illustrator instructions. But anyways, I'm going to walk you through this entire assignment and then have an example, and I'll even post it in here. So, all right, so first things first, download this file. So I download the file, and then, well, it's there, and then I'm going to click download, and then I could open this with Illustrator, save it, and I could just open it from my downloads from there. So I already downloaded that. And so I want to open this with Illustrator, but I have it already open, so I'll click OK. And go back to the instructions, and then it says lock the diagram layer, make sure that it's the only layer locked. And I'm going to be using these instructions, so instead of bouncing back and forth to just make my life a little easier, I'm going to snip this and just drop it in Illustrator, so I can just look at them right in Illustrator. To do that, I'm going to use the snipping tool. I could probably, or I definitely could, just copy all the text and then paste it into Illustrator. But I'm going to show you another trick. And I want this to be kind of like a vertical rectangle of text. So that's why this would be horizontal. I want this to be vertical. So I'm going to grab the snipping tool. So just in my app search here, I'm going to type in snip. Just SP or SN, and then there it is. And then I could click new and just do that. And now I could copy it, edit, copy, or right click, copy. Then go over here to Illustrator. And it said to lock the diagram layer, so I'm going to put this on the diagram layer too, because I'm going to put it in here and then not have to worry about accidentally moving it. Okay, so there's my instructions. That looks a little blurry. I shrink that down. That's not going to help. There we go. A little bit better. But now I'm going to lock the diagram layer, and the other two are not locked. So I got step 2 done. Use the shape builder tool to cut out different anatomy parts of the text from this lesson here. So yes, how to use the shape builder tool. So I've got, first of all, this lesson and module is all about the anatomy of typography and learning all of the different names of the different parts. It's pretty much our vocabulary module. So basically this exercise kind of just get creative, but also kind of helping you memorize these things. And then when it comes to the anatomy of typography, it's important to know like terminal and well, definitely baseline, but what's also really important, which we'll talk about more, which maybe I'm a little too passionate about, is X height. So that would be this line right here. Basically, if I had an X here, how tall is that lowercase x? And that kind of defines the readability and also helps you decide, especially as a beginner, like which fonts pair well with other fonts, which ones go together. And again, just like the principles of design, just knowing these things is good, but it's okay to break them once you kind of understand why you're breaking them, breaking the rules, as with most art. Okay, so anyways, getting this done. So the shape builder tool. Shape builder tool is so fantastic. So it's going to allow me to kind of like just take different little chunks of these letter forms here and then put them over to Artboard 2. Yeah, so use the shape builder tool to cut out different anatomy parts of the text, vocabulary from that lesson, which is, if I click on that, that takes me right here from earlier in the module. Must use at least 10 shapes, 5 different type anatomy parts, minimum of 10 total, including duplicates. So I got 10 total shapes, but I have at least 5 different parts, and just a minimum of 10. So I'm using the shape builder tool, shape and selection tools to cut the different parts of the letter forms and then move them over to Artboard 3. Which I'm realizing that is a typo. It should be Artboard 2. So I'm going to change that immediately after this video. So this is moving to Artboard 2. There's only 2 artboards. That is not an artboard. That's just an image of basically, in case you're wondering what they are, that's what they are. Okay. So I'm going to start with just some things that I think I could build something cool out of. So I'm making, zoom in a little more here. That's probably good. Yeah, I am. The goal here is to build an abstract letter form and give it a fun little name. And I kind of started one already. So if I just started chopping up pieces, taking them, and then I built what I kind of thought of. It made me think of a Roman soldier or a centurion. So give it kind of like a typeface style name. A bold centurion is what I called that. And that would be something that I would now export and then submit to the discussion board. Okay, so let me try this one more time. Let's actually do this now. So I'm going to be using this. This is the shape builder tool, which is super fun. And all these, so if I'm using type in Illustrator, this is not type anymore. These are outlines, which is a very useful tool when you're done with the project, is to create outlines, just in case when you're sending it to a printer, you don't have to send the fonts, or there's no issue with fonts not showing up, and you get the pink lines of death, which is if there's a missing font, it shows up as Myriad Pro, but it's highlighted pink. And to do that, so here's my lorem ipsum, my filler type. Just use that for now. So this is type that I could click on and edit, and then mix it around. I could change it from point type to area type, make it into a text box. If I know that this is the way I want this looks beautiful right now. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I'm definitely not gonna change it, even though there's a hyphenation, and I should never have hyphenation. I am going to create outlines, or I'm about to send this to the printer, so I no longer am going to edit this type ever, because this is a permanent change. Then I would go to type and then create outlines, which is a great keyboard shortcut to remember, Control-Shift-0. And now these are shapes. It's objects, no longer type, but I cannot edit that. So that's what this stuff is here. So I think that this little thing here, this little terminal, is fantastic. So I'm going to grab that. So what I need to do is I'm going to define what I want to take by putting a shape on top. And that might have been a little confusing. So I'm going to just grab my rectangle tool, and I'm going to show you a few different ways to take these parts off and put them onto this artboard. So I'm just going to start with a rectangle, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm just using the trackpad to zoom. You can use the zoom tool here. And I'm going to click and drag and just basically draw a rectangle, and that's what I wanted to take. If I wanted to see that, I could just flip this. So I have a stroke and no fill. So now I see what I'm taking, opposed to a shape there. And now I'm going to click and drag with the selection tool, and then so I have F and this square shape selected. Now it's very important that both of these are selected, and then I could then I grab the shape builder tool, and this kind of allows me to, you can see how as I scroll over things, it gets kind of grayish there. This allows me to break everything up into parts. So right now I have a square and an F. So if I click right here, Illustrator's telling me that it's plus sign. I'm going to make this into a shape. So if I click, what I just did is I basically cut this out of the rectangle. So look, if I go, and I'm going to actually do that to this too, because I want this piece. So I'm going to click on that. So I made two shapes, an F and a rectangle, into three shapes. An F, this little part of the F, and then this shape here. Then I can go back to my selection tool, and then I don't need this, so I'm just going to hit delete. And then this is the piece that I want. So I'm going to hit Control-C, then I'm going to move right over to this artboard here, and I'm going to Control-V, paste it. So, and for now, I'm going to put these up here. So I'm going to get my 5 going up here. So I'm going to I'm going to put the name right underneath it, right on the artboard here. And then, because I am having issues with my zoom, I'm going to use the navigator, which is also really fun and easy to use. It helps you move around a document if you want to stay at a certain zoom. So I can click right over here, and that takes me right there. And this is a terminal, so I'm going to click and drag, and then again, Control-C, edit, copy, and edit, paste. and then go right back over here, hit Control V, and then just drag this right here. So I'm using a terminal. I'm going to go back over here, and if I hold the space bar, it shows me this hand. I could kind of move around, like click and drag and grab and move it around. So I am going to use this part of the A too. And so I don't have to use a rectangle, I could use a circle and all these shapes, but I can also use the pen tool, which is probably a little better. So I'm going to grab this whole part of actually, never mind. I'll do that in the next one, because this I want to be a perfect horizontal line. So I'm going to grab this, and then again I would grab the selection tool. After I had the rectangle tool, grab the selection tool. And I would select both of these and then start using the shape builder, except I want to be a little more exact here, because right now I'm grabbing this too. If I use the shape builder just like I did before, and I don't want that. That's going to be a weird looking extra piece, so I'm just going to use the arrow keys to move down a little bit, and that is perfect. I'm going to hit Shift. That allows me to select multiple things at once, or deselect. So I could Shift and then select the A. Now I have the rectangle and A selected. Then we can go back to the shape builder tool, and then I can do the same thing I did, click on these parts, or if I hold Alt, which I believe is a command on a Mac, the minus sign shows up. So it's a plus sign right now, basically like, hey, we're adding a shape, this shape. But I'm going to say, hey, I want to subtract that shape. So I just click on it, and then I just deleted that, and then I can click on this with the plus sign. Now this is its own shape, so I'm going to grab the selection tool again, select this little piece, hit Control C, hit over here, and then paste that right there. I'm going to move it up here. Now I have my second piece, and that is just a identifier as a sans serif, meaning no serif, sans serif. This is serif. This A doesn't have those. So I'm going to click and drag, and then copy, paste, and I'll do maybe one more. So also looking at what looks fun. Ooh, a shoulder. Everybody needs a shoulder to lean on. So this time I'm going to use the pen tool. So I'm basically just making a shape just like I would with the rectangle tool, except I'm going to use the pen tool so I could kind of define where I'm going a little bit better. And then with Smart Guides turned on, actually I hit delete, I don't want to start there, I'm going to start closer to the stem here. So I'm going to click, and then Smart Guides are telling me that I've got a perfectly straight line, which is what I'm looking for. And I don't want to go all the way down. I'm going to go maybe right here. And then again, I want a perfectly horizontal line. And that isn't perfectly horizontal. You can see that, but that's okay. And then that little circle tells me that I am making a shape. I'm not just, if I hit enter right now, this wouldn't be a closed shape. This would just be a path. When I get that circle, that means I'm making an object, a shape. Then I do the whole routine with the shape builder. So I grab the H, hold Shift, grab that shape, and then actually instead of using the shape builder, there's one other way we could do this. So I'm going to, this time, use the Pathfinder panel. So these are all my panels here. And then once you have a setup that you like, I advise you to just go up here to create your own artboard. Like I have the Baron 81. I can click on new workspace, and then whatever this is, whatever panels are open, that's going to be your new workspace. And then if I wanted to go back to the defaults, I could just go to Essentials Classic and then reset Essentials Classic. But I like the way things are now. If I want to find other panels, like I need to use the Pathfinder panel because I found an online tutorial that I like and it's the panel that I don't know, all the panels are under Window. So I want to click on Pathfinder, but I have that open already, and then it would just pop right up. But here's my Pathfinder, and I could just click with these things here. could just click on this here, divide, and then it just basically created 3 shapes. Top shape here, the shoulder, and then the bottom shape. And then I remember when I was in high school and college, and like eventually, I use this all the time, but I mean trial and error too. Like if you can't remember which one to use, you know, you just click on one. If it's like if I accidentally clicked on that, and like, oh, that's not the one. Just hit Control Z, and then try the other ones. But for this, divide is what we're looking for. Or actually, one of these might be better. Nope, never mind. See, Control Z. And now when I select this though, this groups this all together. So I have to go to Object, Ungroup, which is another good keyboard shortcut to remember. Control G to group things together, and then Shift Control G to ungroup them. So I'm going to ungroup these, and then I could click on it, hit delete, click on it, hit delete, then click on this and hit Control C, and then go back over here and hit Control V. And then I want to grab the word shoulder. These are in alphabetical order. How convenient. Control C, navigator panel, Control V, and my shoulder. And I would then make sure that I have at least 5 of these. So I'm going to start here and just kind of mess with my shoulder here. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And then if you can't just scroll with the zoom, if it goes like mine right now, I have to click and if I click and drag, it zooms in, and then if I hold Alt, I get the minus sign, I can zoom out. That's the current issue with my computer, but I could easily change that, check the automatic zoom by going to Edit, Preferences, General Preferences. Oh, excuse me, not General Preferences, then General Preferences for Photoshop, Performance, and then, yeah, see, I'm having a GPU issue, and that's where I would click on Animated Zoom, which is super convenient. But so I'm just using the trackpad for my zoom. All right, so what you can do is skew these a little, or excuse me, you cannot skew these, but you can adjust the scale and reflect them and rotate them. So if I'm going to make this not that big, I'm just going to start playing, maybe rotate this a little bit, and then I'm starting to see this look like some sort of leg. So I'm going to make another one of these, and I'm holding Alt right now, and you can see how I get the double arrow. That means I'm copying it. And then I'm going to rotate this, because those are going to be the same size. So Shift, perfect, and then I can go like that. And I don't know, something like that, maybe. Then I can grab this, and actually, I want these to all be the same, black with no fill. I could use the eyedropper tool and just grab that color. And I'm going to reflect this. So what you can be doing here is using the transform under object. So like if I want to reflect this, go to Object, Transform, Transform, Reflect. And then if I wanted to, I could just hit copy so it makes a second one, which I am going to do. Because I just realized what I should have been doing, because now if I edit this, I don't have one that is normal anymore. So what I should have done is copied these as I was using them, by just holding Alt and dragging. So like, and this doesn't quite fit, so I'm just going to hold Shift. So anytime I adjust the scale, it's very important that you hold Shift, so because we don't want to skew these pieces that we're using. Because if I don't hold Shift, then who knows what this thing is, right? I don't know if that's a stem, terminal, what is that? Who knows? So if I accidentally don't hold Shift, like I'm moving it, and then I accidentally let go of Shift, and then like, oops, I made a mistake, just hit Control Z. Don't try to, because you'll never move it back exactly the way it was. So just hitting undoing, Control Z, which edit, undo, is the best way to make adjustments if you accidentally skew these pieces. And so I'm going to use that, and I can fix that later. And I'm going to grab this one. Again, I'm holding Alt, so I'm making a copy, so these stay up here. And then, yeah, this is looking good, and I'm going to hold Alt and make this a little bit longer. And then I can refine this a little bit later, and do one more. And I'm starting to see like some feet here, and maybe a bowl from one of the letters. So I would maybe grab this right here. So do the same thing, draw a rectangle. This looks like a good foot. Grab my selection tool, and then shape builder. I could just click on this, and then go to my selection tool. And now this is separate. And I'm going to hit Control C. Go back over here. And I just grabbed a stem, alphabetical order, Control C, and then Control V. I'm going to move that over there. And again, holding Alt as I drag this down, moving it around. And I would fit this in the first one and then just copy it to the other. And then, yeah, things are starting to look like I could start getting weird and creative and making something weird. So that is how you do that. So the next step, after you've got your object and you think of a creative name for it, I'm at this point here, and I'm going to just move these down here. I've got my artboard here. Before I export this, I'm going to zoom in even more and just kind of like maybe make some minor adjustments here to align things up. And these look kind of aligned. This here isn't exact. Well, that's actually one shape now. Yeah, if I zoom in here, you can see that this is a little messed up, so I could just use my direct selection tool and kind of fix this up a little bit. Oh, I have the whole thing selected. I'm clicking off and then clicking back on the specific anchor point. You can see how I have that selected. Actually, I probably want to move this one. It's red and the other ones are white. That means I know I have just an anchor point selected, and I'm just going to snap that over to that one there. And okay, let me zoom in a little closer. This is a real minor change that you can't even see, because I probably didn't make a good shape builder, so I didn't chop that out right. So click on this again, and then I want to put this right on top. Oh, I see what's happening, so I need to drag this handle in. There we go. And then this handle should come in also. I'm just zooming out, and then I'll do the same thing for this. Grab the direct selection tool. And then drag that down so it's smoothed out. And then I could go around and make all the adjustments that I see. Again, this one here. Just move this up a little bit maybe. And then I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit to see how that, because that's going to affect other parts too. So yeah, we need to stretch this out just a little bit. And then make sure it doesn't, yeah, and this really messed that up here. So minor adjustments, like I wouldn't take, if this is way off like that, again, we shouldn't be skewing these pieces. So if I grabbed my direct selection tool and moved it like this, I'm changing the way this piece of a letter form looks. So you don't want to adjust too much, but if we're making minor adjustments to fit things back in, that's perfectly fine. And then if I hit Control or Apple 0, go out and then say this is how I want it to look. So here's my letter form. Bold centurion. We've got a Roman soldier letter form here. And I would double check the instructions, which I did not save. So I've got 10 shapes. I've used at least 5 different anatomy parts, which I didn't yet, but you don't need to sit and watch me do it 5 times. And then a minimum of 10. I've got all the things that I need. And the next step would be to export the artboard. Only artboard 2. So yeah, this says artboard 3. That's a typo. I apologize for that. I will change it. File, export for screens, then select only artboard 2. Ensure that you're exporting a JPEG. Then post the JPEG to the discussion board. Okay, so file, export for screens, and then I'm going to click on, so this is my assets. So if I had something selected, that would kind of show my assets here. And then right now it's artboard 1 is checked, so I'm going to uncheck that. Check artboard 2. You can see how the range, I could just type it in if I wanted to. And I want to make sure that I know where I'm sending this, so I'm going to just drop this on the desktop for now. Just drop it on the desktop. And then I would just hit export, and you can see that if I just hit export now, I would have forgot to do something. This is a PNG right now. We want to save this as a JPEG. JPEG 100 is fine. And then I would hit export artboard. And then what's nice about this is, say you're doing this you're exporting a piece of artwork from Illustrator for a web ad that has multiple sizes, or you need to show a client and you need it to be maybe really large JPEG and also a really small one. I could change this to 2x, or I could add a different one here. So this is weird that it's doing that. There we go. So now I have 4 times the size, and I want this one to just be half the size. And maybe I need a PDF too, or something, like I need a JPEG and a PDF. So that's how you do that. But I got my, oh wait, we don't want that, 1x, JPEG 100, and then I would just hit export artboard. And then on my desktop, it is somewhere, nope. Oh, excuse me, it's a 1x. It'll create a folder called 1x because that's the size that I was at. Sorry about that. And then there's my image that I would upload. And I would change the name of this. And then file it away with my folder. So like my summer 21 fundamentals of typography folder. So drop that right in there. All right, and then the next thing I would do would be to post this to the discussion board. And if you guys have more questions or you need me to expand on that, please don't hesitate to email me. And again, we could post the reading instructions, or me giving you feedback via email or in the campus inbox. A quick chat can go a long way. So don't hesitate to ask to chat with me via Zoom. So I'm posting the JPEG. So I'm going to hit reply. I want to add an image. Then I would upload the image, so I could just go to my desktop, or no, I just drop that in the folder here, artboard. Change the name of that to Frankenstein example. Did I add a space there? No. Ooh, that is bad kerning. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have a panic attack. Okay, copy it in there, embed the image, hit submit, and there it is. Which is important to do it that way so people can see it, because if I did it the other way where I added the file, clicked on the file here and then put it in there, or add an attachment, I would be attaching it as a file, and then it would be a link that so when someone's looking through the discussion, they have to click on a bunch of links. It's much easier if it's just in there. And then I'm also going to put the link to the video on this example too, but I'll put that in the instructions when I change it. So call this abstract example. So there would be the example. And then this would be, I would see this and be like, oh my goodness, look at that, that should have been, oh geez, there's some clear changes here. Oh my gosh, that looks weird. This should be, once it's smooth here, it should be smooth there. So, in fact, I might even make those changes into, no, that's not necessary. Yeah, so you would want to make these changes here so it looks a little cleaner. And that's all. So I hope this helps. Again, just email me if you need some more assistance, and I will talk to you next week.